The WTA recently said it's going to give gender tests to the players on tour. What's your impression of that?
I understand the reasoning behind it. I do think that this kind of conversation has created a lot of animosity towards the trans community, which I'm not really a big fan of, but I also understand the need to, I guess, the biological difference and the need to protect that and preserve that. So I think it's a conversation that is very nuanced. Yes, I guess kind of agree with trying to protect the fairness in women's sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, Behind the Line proudly presents to you another exciting edition of the Woke Turning On the Woke. This episode is brought to you by Hypocrisy Haven. Are you a proud member of Woke United Methodist? Have you been a loyal comrade but are now realizing that being woke is negatively affecting you personally? And as a result, you're at risk of being accused of hypocrisy. If you're woke and against women proficient in facial shaving, find your safe space at Hypocrisy Haven. Hypocrisy Haven provides a safe space for loyal comrades who are questioning their woke faith. We have 1-star accommodations for the poor, 3-star for middle class, and 5-star accommodations to pamper your wealthy woke ass. Make your reservation today at hypocrisyhaven.com. Imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when I see Coco Gauff, a proud parishioner at Woke United Methodist, speaking against men in women's sports. More specifically, speaking against biological men being allowed to compete in women's tennis. Now, this is the same Coco Gauff who claimed to be proud to represent Americans who look like her. She's not proud to represent all of America. I guess Coco Gauff is only proud to represent my people. This is the same Coco Gauff that insinuated that Ron DeSantis was infecting Florida with the disease of mythical racism. But all of a sudden, when preaching the good word and spreading the woke faith is inconvenient and starts to affect her personally, all of a sudden, when the Women's Tennis Association implements mandatory gender testing for all athletes to ensure that no one is in possession of frankenbeans, when the WTA implements gender testing to ensure that the only balls are on the tennis court and not in someone's pants, which gives Coco Gauff the perfect opportunity to represent the woke movement, all of a sudden, when being woke affects her personally, Coco Gauff is no longer interested. I wonder why. All kidding aside, credit to Coco Gauff for being willing to speak out and support gender testing in tennis. She is definitely not the only one who is against toxic masculinity in women's tennis. Arnya Sabalenka, Jessica Pegula. From what I understand, these are 3 of the biggest stars in women's tennis, and all 3 have universally supported the WTA's policy of no wiener. Of course, this has upset deacons at Woke United Methodist. The deacons are mad, especially because one of their loyal parishioners, Coco Gauff, she seems to have strayed away from the woke faith. Please pray for this child. She is lost in the ways of the world. The woke media is outraged that Coco Gauff had the audacity to protect herself. I mean, put yourself in her situation. Coco Gauff is 22 years old. She is just now entering the prime of her tennis career. Now, full transparency, Uncle KC knows nothing about tennis, but from my understanding, female tennis players retire in their late 20s, early 30s. By their late 20s, they are already exiting their physical prime, which means Coco Gauff has 5 to 7 years to maximize her earnings. So why in the hell would she risk her financial future so some dude who suddenly prefers they-them pronouns can win all the money in women's tennis? Earlier this week, Meg Rapinoe offered her unwanted opinion on this ongoing transgender debate. For those that don't know, the inspiration of prepubescent boys has a YouTube channel on life support. She used to share the channel with Sue Bird. Unfortunately for the Megster, Sue Bird woke up one morning and realized that she was married and sharing the nest with Meg Rapinoe. Unsurprisingly, Curly Sue immediately kicked Meg out of the nest. Now, Meg hosts the show by herself, and it's called Why Are You Like This? I'm sure her parents have been asking that same question for decades. When I tell you no one is watching Meg on YouTube, I mean no one is watching this garbage. Her latest episode, which was released yesterday, 1,600 views. Uncle Casey gets upset if I'm averaging 1,600 views in an hour. Meg is barely getting 1,600 views in almost 48 hours. Yesterday, though, Meg was speaking into her supersized microphone. I guess she thought buying a larger mic would mean more people would be exposed to her toxic mouth farts. The Megster was demonizing Sophie Cunningham and Riley Gaines for having the audacity to protect women's sports. And in her passionate sermon, Meg Rapinoe once again proved she has absolutely no idea what the hell she's talking about. Watch it for yourself.
The root of trans exclusion is to protect young girls from men. To be clear, I would love to have that conversation, and it's much needed in this country. But it frames the conversation as if we're protecting young girls from men being in WNBA locker rooms. Not happening. It villainizes trans girls as if they're somehow magically older than their peers or are men, when in reality, they are also young girls.
Meg is partially right here. Normal people definitely want to protect young girls from competing against boys. And we damn sure want to protect young girls from sharing a public restroom with Peeping Tom. But that's not the genesis, or the root, as Meg preferred to call it, of this transgender battle. I remember the genesis because we were one of the first channels to cover this on YouTube back in October, November of 2021. This ongoing fight began when Leah Thomas was allowed to compete in women's swimming at the collegiate level. It became mainstream when Leah Thomas won the NCAA championship in women's swimming in March of 2022. Today, transgender involvement in sports at the high school level, middle school level, today, it's basically non-existent. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen with the frequency that we saw when John Biden was president, mainly because Donald Trump put an end to it. The debate now is more focused on professional sports for women, which means normal people are trying to protect grown women. Normal people are trying to preserve opportunities for women in professional sports. It's the reason the WTA implemented mandatory gender testing. The WTA didn't do this to attack Trandan. The WTA implemented testing to protect Coco Gauff, to ensure that Coco Gauff maintains the right to make millions of dollars in the sport she dedicated her life to. Fortunately for the WTA, there is no controversy in their league because their star players came out publicly and supported the policy. Yet for some reason, this continues to be a distraction and a controversial topic in the WNBA. Why? Watch for yourself.
Trans rights now is our new battle. That's what I think I was saying, that like the battles have changed. Oh, yes. You know, like our intentions have been the same, but now the environment has changed. We see trans people's rights being, you know, stripped away from them. There's a lot of discourse around trans athletes and what they can compete in. I would welcome a trans athlete on my team or against my team anytime. So I guess that's the next battle that we have to fight.
I have never seen a league self-destruct. I have never seen a league hasten their own demise more than the WNBA dump. I had to look through the missing persons report to identify this unknown WNBA player. According to my research, her name is Gabby Williams. Hey, it's me, Gabby! Obviously, most people are focusing on Gabby Williams writing a love letter, spraying it with perfume, and inviting Prince Charming to the WNBA, which is understandable. I mean, Gabby Williams is literally advocating for her own unemployment. Gabby Williams is advocating to lose her job. So it's understandable why that's the primary focus. We might go further into this tomorrow. I might talk about Enes Kanter, who is a former NBA player. We might talk about Enes Kanter tomorrow demanding a tryout in the WNBA. Mr. Kanter is now selecting she, her pronouns. Enes Kanter has aspirations to be the first natural beard in the WNBA. And this dump of a league, they have really put themselves in a bind. If the League of Inclusion refuses to accept Enes Kanter, they'll be accused of hypocrisy. They'll be accused of misogyny, transphobia. Like I said, we might get into that further tomorrow, but there was something else Gabby Williams said that I thought was interesting. Transgender rights. That is our new battle. That is our new fight. We are focusing 100% of our efforts on transgender rights. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Aren't WNBA players complaining about the fact that no one focuses on pretend basketball? Aren't WNBA players whining because no one talks about their unbelievably bad product? Why should we focus on make-believe basketball when WNBA players are focusing on make-believe women? I have been following sports my entire life. I have seen NFL players sacrifice their careers to sell weed. I have seen Zion Williamson waste his NBA career so he could eat Burger King and satisfy his fetishes with women. Jamarcus Russell, he was one of the most physically gifted quarterbacks I have ever seen. I remember when LSU was playing in the Sugar Bowl 2004, 2003. Jamarcus Russell, he's on the field during pregame warmups. He is on one knee, and he is throwing the ball perfectly 70 yards downfield. But he was a bust in the NFL because he refused to work. He lost his NFL career due to laziness. Kyler Murray, he damn near lost his NFL career because he wanted to play video games. The point is, we have seen a lot of athletes over the years hasten their own demise, but I have never seen an entire league advocate for their own destruction like the WNBA. And if they're not careful, every player in this league will soon be unemployed. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.